Good morning, everyone. This is the ultrasound video that we talked about doing as far as how to push buttons on the machine and get into the actual treatment and select the parameters that you're going to be selecting. And so we talked about doing this, and so here it is. I'll just real quick disclaimer. I was videotaping with my camera and then trying to push buttons, and so the video sometimes gets a little bit jumpy. I'll try to avoid that by pausing it and doing some stuff here, but just bear with me on a couple of them. So I'm going to go ahead and start this video. So this is the opening screen, and you can see this is the line that has the ultrasound. We're not going to worry with any of the presets right here. If you want to, you could, but we're always going to press this wave button. See, there's that jumpiness. Once you press wave, you have this selection, whether it's ultrasound or combo. We're always going to press ultrasound. If somebody wants to play with the ultrasound with E-stem coming out of the transducer, it's kind of fun, and but typically we won't do that as much. And so we're always going to pick ultrasound. And this is that first screen that you get. You can see here. I'm going to get my face out of here. We don't need to see me up there. But ultimately, this is the screen you get, and here's where you have your selection of the size of the sound head and the frequency, the 1 or 3 megahertz. Remember, the 1 versus 3 megahertz is depending on how deep we want to go. If we're selecting 1 megahertz, we should be treating a deep area like a quadricep, hamstring, low back, something that has a lot of deep tissue and a lot of blood-rich tissue that's going to go. That sound is going to go passing right through there, and we know it's going to absorb a lot deeper. The 3 megahertz is the more shallow. It also heats very quickly, so you're looking at not only the superficial ones, like right around the bone, like an elbow or the kneecap or something like that, but you're also looking at structure. Fascia, the tendons, the ligaments, those kind of things that are superficial, but those will heat up quickly, and that's what the 3 megahertz really does. 5 versus 2 is really based on the treatment area size that you're going to do. If I give you a specific thing, like if I say sinus tarsi, all right, you're going to stick right in that sinus tarsi, then you might pick a 2. If I tell you the low back, or if I tell you the patella, you can really pick either. And I'm just going to be watching on how you do that treatment and where you move that transducer. So you can press these buttons here, whichever one you want, with your finger, or as you can see, you can use the dial and slide those around if you want to do that. If the button, sometimes the screen doesn't work, or you can't push it right. Here's where we select continuous. 100% is continuous or pulsed. We set our time. You can roll around the dial again, or you can use one of the presets. Either way is fine. No problem there. And then it's time to set your intensity, and you just start turning that up. This is where, let me pause that. This is where you need to be coordinated. This is where you need to kind of make sure that you're moving the transducer as you turn that up. If you make a mistake, all right, if you make a mistake and you push this button right there, this stop clear button, that clears everything on the whole machine, right? And so if you just want to go back one, here, let's pause it. If you push this button, it clears everything. And so you're going to have to go all the way back to the start like you just saw. If you want to go back one, and I'll show you up here, you can just push this cancel button. So we'll play it again. We'll come in here and I'm selecting a 5 centimeters, 3 megahertz. My duty cycle, I pick 25% pulse. If you're picking pulse, I'm going to pause it. If you're picking pulse, that means you're worried about the acute stage of injury and you don't want any heating. All right. If you're not worried, if I don't give you any indication that you have to worry about the acute inflammatory phase, always pick 100%. All right. That's just write that down and log that in your brain. Always pick heat unless you think acute. So we go here, you can select it, and then canceling, you can see it takes you back one chunk each time you press cancel. So what I did is like, oh, I'm not in the acute stage. I want 100%. I want continuous. And so now my treatment time, I'm going to come in here. I can pick. I don't like the presets. So let's use the dial to select it at maybe 9 minutes. And now I'm going to select my intensity. And so I'm moving the transducer, selecting my intensity. I want it at 1.0 maybe. So let's go down 1.0. And then to start it, you have to tap it like I just did there, and it will start going. When you do this, in your practical test. I am not going to be hovering right over your shoulder watching you push buttons. You're going to do it. You're going to tap it. Start the treatment. Start moving your transducer. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look at this. I'm going to say, oh, okay, you selected 5 centimeters, a big head, the 3 megahertz, higher frequency. Here's your intensity. Here's your duty cycle. You picked continuous, and I'll estimate. I'll be in there, within enough time to figure out what time you said. In general, as you select these, because we're about done here, in general, when you select these things, I'm going to be matching up how you're treating that with the tissue, with the information I give you, and how you move that transducer. This, you look at 9 minutes, that's a long time. 1.0 for 9 minutes, that could be correct. If you're doing plantar fascia and you're going from the base of the heel to like midway through the arch and the entire foot with a 5 centimeter head, that may be appropriate. All right, you may be able to do that pretty well. Now, if you are sticking right around the calcaneal insertion of plantar fascia, then you have to adjust something, right? If you still want 9 minutes, then you might have to go down here. If you want to have 1.0, then you'd probably have to have less time. And so as you do that, I'm going to put my face back in here because I want to see me again. But so as you go through and start to practice these and go through the different selections and button pushing and that kind of stuff, you do that at times when I'm here, so you can ask me what my view on this is. Hey, I'm doing this treatment. Watch me do this real quick. Basically, once you start this and you've tapped this, and I see that you've started, I'm going to write all these down, trying to match up what what your treatment parameters are versus what you're treating. And then in about 30 seconds, if that, I'm going to push this stop clear button like the treatment's already over. So you're not going to sit here and do it for 9 minutes, and I'm not going to sit there and watch you because that would be painful, right? So make sure that you're as you practice when you do these things, that you're at least practice without me, but practice when I'm around so I can give you, because I'm the one that's going to be giving you the feedback. And let's go right here. I'm the one that's going to be giving you the feedback. There's not a lot of ultrasound that goes on in the clinic, if at any, right? Really at any of our clinics. Maybe the fire department still uses some ultrasound. You might see it there. But if you don't see it a lot, you're not going to get comfortable with it, at least for class. And so this is, class-wise, we're exposing you to it. There are people that still use ultrasound. So you'll have to have at least a working knowledge of it. All right, so that's it. I tried to be as quick as I could, giving you the information on the machine and a little bit of information on ultrasound. Have a good weekend.